Heyo, what's up everybody? I'm Andy, welcome into the studio. Today we're talking about synthesizers. Some vintage ones. I probably put some stuff about this versus this and versus this in the title. This is not a competition. We have to do that, you know, because that's the world. It's not a competition really, but we're gonna see how they stack up to each other. We're gonna just jump in and like look at how I'm using these synths. So, you know, if you've been hanging around the channel at all and seen any of this stuff, you know I've just recently come into a bunch of cool vintage synthesizers. Two ARP 2600s, an ARP Odyssey, a DX7, and your prior Minimoog, all vintage. And so I've been learning how to use them and stuff. So we've got that going on. We're doing the ARP patch book. The original ARP batch book came with my ARP, so we've been going through that, and we're putting those on the channel. Check them out if you're interested in that stuff. I'm about to be getting into the ARP Odyssey stuff too, but like, so you know, you can't not play with this stuff when you have them. That's one thing that I've kind of learned. The Minimoog came in first, and you realize right away these are instruments that like want to be played. They're so conducive to putting your hands on them and making sounds, right? And so today we're curious about we're just gonna talk about what sounds. What have I been doing with them? Like what kind of musical instruments are they? Because you know, YouTube is full of videos to show me all the things a 2600 does, and we'll go down section by section, and there's plenty of people to like show you all those things and stuff. Going through the patch book, I'm hoping is slightly different because that's kind of like how the designers of the instrument intended each section to actually like be used, right? It's like a demonstration as well as a learning tool. Check it out if you've seen it. It's pretty cool. But so you see a lot of that stuff, but I don't see a lot of like what's the music sound like, you know? There's a couple of jams here and there, but it's like usually like a sequenced, very synth thing. Unlike like what's been playing in the background all this time is just a song, you know. I think that's from this week, probably, or last week. Because literally every time one of these instruments gets here, I'm putting in it a song. I'm putting them in everything I do. You know, like other people's songs, my songs, whatever I'm working on, it's going in because they just are, I hate to say magical, but they're cool, man. They have a cool sound, and I'm an in-the-box kind of a guy. This is all, you know, I wouldn't say it's new to me because, you know, I'm super old and all that, and my world started outside of computers with all this stuff, but I love what I have going on in the box there. And anyways, what are we doing with these things, right? What kind of music am I making? So the first thing, I mean, they're obviously solo instruments, like they're really good solo instruments, you know. What we're listening to here is simply one oscillator, VCO3. So with the ARP 2600, I use a lot of times I use oscillator 2. I don't know why, because they all do low frequency mode, but I'll use oscillator 2 in low frequency mode. Probably because it has a sine wave, and I like the sine wave option in low frequency. And then I'll use oscillators 1 and 3. So this way I get to use this oscillator. It comes in by default right to this slider right here, right? So that's all I need to be doing solo type stuff. You're like, what are you talking about? Solo type stuff. Let's like that we don't want. Let's turn that piano off. That's for tuning, right? But so let's get our mini freak to where it's input monitored. Give us like a nice little pad. Hold it. Mini Freak's a little loud there, isn't it? But so, you know, a nice tone, some vibrato. And that same thing applies for, you know, all the instruments, really. We can go over to the, I'm like, that's not the one that we wanted to chew. There we go. Here's our ARP Odyssey. I mean, notice how similar those sound. And there might be some extra processing. I don't know if these are identically processed here. Let's look. It's just a phaser and delay. On the Odyssey and on the 26, same exact thing. Yeah, I just duplicated those tracks. So one of them, though, is 2 oscillators. It's the Odyssey. Let's give it just one. So we kind of want to be the first oscillator because that has the LFO hardwired. This one should too, but I don't see it the same way, not with the sine wave. So we had those both in unison, you know, for that. So like oscillator to oscillator though, like how identical is that? It's so close. This is a little sharper, like a little. There's a little bit more of an edge to this, and you know, it's hard to go. You want to get your volumes kind of just right. And then we have the Minimoog. Which is like, it's such a more silky, smoother kind of, I don't know, like it's so glossy, it always seems to me, the Minimoog. It's such a like, it's just such a beautiful lead tone, really. It's just so glossy, but. So then we're over here and we can get, you know, my next, of course, you know, that's, so lead tones are a major all the time thing to do. Now I like with the ARP 2600, I find myself always doing this stuff. So once we go to bass, let's pull in oscillator. How ridiculously sick of that is that sound once you bring this low oscillator. So that's one thing about the 2600. It's just jumping into everything that I'm doing on. It's taking over bass. I love the bass sound of this thing. And with all 3 oscillators, I mean, it's cool too. It's almost overkill sometimes, but so. One of the cool things I like about this is how fast you simply like pull down your sustain and you have add a little resonance. You know, it's like the dopest little bass sound. Obviously that's not like dialed in at all, but we didn't do anything to it. All we did was adjust one parameter. The sustain on the envelope. You can still vibrato VCO3 and, you know, the whole thing, both of them play like they are. Pull that out. You know, it's just, I love it. It's a very, very usable usable bass scenario. Hey, all right, we're breaking in here. We're going to look at an actual project and see how I used the 2600 in this case, in this project, for a lot of different sounds. The song sounds like this. Basic rock sound, you know? The first thing is this. Basically just a filter sweep and into a long hold just to like fill out, you know. I'm falling in a snare here, I got my feet back. Just sweeping the filter, more or less, you know, like. Now, also in there you heard our first little sound effect. Waterfall of pain on my left deep. Which I just wanted to scream a little when it went into that section. Right stands a legend of a falling tear. Every step is a matter that is north of fate. Just a little accent in there. Later on we have it's like a little synth solo action there. Like I'm standing in a fog, and you can hear I'm riding the filter, or I'm riding the attack or something there, to get swelly more sounds, and then a bit of that thing, more bassy stuff, and then on the end, that bass type tone really takes over as the music. Every step is a there's a piano. North of fate, south of dignity, and south of hate, and every wayward dream so fast, but you gotta stay awake if you wanna bat. Processing on that Moog is a flanger, and that's all. The chorusing and stuff, a lot of the chorusing comes right out of that. The 2600 has insane chorusing, like between the oscillators. It's so cool. But that's pretty much what was going on with this song. Some bass and a tiny bit of effect stuff. And I love this thing, 2600. Show me what you're doing with it. Put me something in the comments. Drop it. I don't know how you drop a link down there. Probably can't. Just tell me about it. I'll go to your channel. Cheers. All right, so here's another song that I was messing with this week. And this one, we've got 2600 on bass throughout the whole thing, a couple 2600 effects, DX7 throughout the whole thing. And I actually had put bass, I see, on from the Moog and from the Odyssey at the same time. So before I close this up, I'll show you like what the 3 sounded like, and then I decided to just go with the 2600 was plenty. This is what you were hearing earlier in this video in the background music. So we've got this, which is more or less the exact sound I've just been messing with. It's just straight 26, nothing fancy like at all. Hello, I'm here, can you see? Let's add the Odyssey and the Moog. Yeah. So the thing about it is, it's not adding a ton. You know, like they sound so similar. know, like it could be cool balanced out more. Obviously those other ones are pretty low, the Odyssey and the Mini. So let's see if I change my mind. They have volume automation here for some reason. Yeah, for no reason. It does add a little bit on the top that I kind of like. There's too much delay happening, so... Now let's check the Moog. It's definitely more on the bottom. Like there may be a bit on the bottom that's happening more now. Now they're gone. Do I miss it? Let's add them back. Maybe. I kind of maybe do. Let's turn them on in the full mix. Hello, I'm here. Can you see me too? The edge of another past life and past I'll leave them. I mean, I think we'll see what they sound like on speakers on the monitors here after this. But so, you know, it's just a really, that's what happens every time I kind of make something. I'll be like, yeah, we're going to use everything. And I do. And then I start muting things, and then I might bring them back and be like, maybe I do like that. Just like we just did. So the other thing, we have the DX7. Really just doing a little bit of filler and a little intro lick. And then it's just doing that. So you can hear that 2600 driving through all of that. We had a bit of an effect with white noise. This is like kind of just like a bleeding record scratch that ends in unison. And if I think about it real hard now and choose to sit this one right out, I'm desperate. So yeah, we end up with just a DX7 and the 2600, one of them in the chorus doing the bass, and then the same kind of for the rest of the song. There's a solo part, I think, with a 2600. Oh yeah. I love that 2600 lead tone. It just blends in so good with a mix. I dig it. That's how I'm using my stuff. And a couple of things. There's like 15 more too. They're just so fun, these instruments. Go over to our Mini. I'm not dialing that in at all, and I'm lazy too. But the Mini's got a very different bass sound. It's very close to that, actually. I mean, we could fuck with that, but I want to see though Odyssey. So one of the things I like about the Odyssey is it has its own LFO just kind of all the time. We got oscillator 1, oscillator 2, and then an LFO before the mixer, which is cool. So sometimes that thing's just in there. There's out and there's in, so you can hear it sweeping, which adds good life. So I feel like this oscillator, we're only hearing oscillator VCO1, and this oscillator, we're on, oh yeah, we're on the sawtooth there. I'm always thinking like, yeah, dude, it sounds very buzzy. Yeah. I really should be using this one more for bass than this one. That is the Odyssey more than the 2600, because for me, the key tracking's much better. The Odyssey, as you can see, or the 2600, my tools are always sitting right here, which we have a wrench and a screwdriver for the fixed tuning thing, as I've been dialing that in, which requires the tools to unlock and then fix. And what you're adjusting is the voltage between the octave, and how far you can adjust the spread. And it's just kind of a little bit of play back and forth as I've been dialing it in. But this one is pretty spot on. It drifts a little, and I'm not sure how I'll fix that, if I'll fix that, but that's the portamento. So if you pull down portamento, I didn't realize that. If you pull it down to minimum, you're gonna be getting that. You gotta have it up off of minimum at least mine. But that's pretty round, that sound. What if we mix in the sawtooth of oscillator 2? It's pretty fat. That's pretty dope. That's the Minimoog. That's ridiculous. So that's with the LFO coming in there. So you can see, like, quite easily, I could sit here and do for way too long, just tweaking the smallest things and playing with the sounds, right? But you can tell, I think, like the kind of the tonal differences. These two are very, very similar. Obviously, the two ARP units are very, very similar. This one, the Minimoog, of course, is a bit different, but they all have their place for sure. And I've been using the daily. I've been using all of them. The Odyssey is kind of I'm slower getting to the Odyssey. It might be because it's up here. I don't know. It's so good. I mean, it really is so good. Now, we haven't talked at all about this DX7 over here. I was kind of, I don't want to say like wary of, I was intrigued at what it would be like to have this DX7, because they don't have the best reputation, but they're in like so much great music from the 70s and 80s, or I guess from the 80s and 90s. It's so much good music and then more. I have found this thing while, you know, there's a whole pile of sounds that aren't the best sounds. Like, there's a lot of good sounds in this thing, you know? Like, that's just a big, huge string pad. Which one is this? Right bow. And that's on the internal, right? I have one cartridge 4 of sounds, but this is the internal, so you know. And I'm not doing much. We're not doing much like to mess with these. Like effects wise, you know, like that's killer. What come on, dude. That's killer. A clav, you know. More strings. Haven't even touched the mod wheels and stuff, right? So I've been using those sounds, this sound, which actually it's like it just blends back in over like heavy rock stuff. It's just like those little plinky sounds seem to work pretty good. What was another one? Maybe 14? Nope, not that one. How about that though? Like talking about bass tones, dude. Good organ. Fantastic organ there. Pipe organ. I'm not sure which. It might have been. I used another plinky sound, but it also might have been on that card. But in general, what I found to be cool about this instrument, the DX7, is the higher end of things, like the upper register. Like I'll throw on a bass line or something, get something going, and it's like, ooh. The DX7 will fill out the sides and, you know, like the upper air and just kind of do a little thing. And it always sounds just right. It's like you pull something up and you're like, ooh, that's cool. Like it fits in a mix really good. I think it fits in a mix better than it sounds just by itself, for sure. Anyhow, we've heard a few samples. We'll let one ride out here for a second that has something that hopefully Andy, that has all of these synthesizers in, because pretty much everything I do lately is like all these synthesizers. It's ridiculous. So go play with your synths, drop some comments, hit the likes, the subscribes, and rock your day. Cheers.